Hey y'all, welcome into Simone Talks. I am Simone, and the talk topic that I have for you today is letting go and letting God, that nothing is wasted. So, all of 2023 and 2024, God kept speaking to me that nothing is wasted. And so, for some of us, that can look like failed businesses or maybe a financial crisis, but I find that the area that it is most hard for God's children is when it comes to letting go of what others have done to us, especially when your intentions were pure from the beginning, or maybe you entrusted this person to love you and protect you and also maybe care for you. It could be that marriage or that relationship that didn't work. It could be that family member that talked about you like a dog or betrayed you. It could be people even at your job. None of it, nothing is wasted. So in Romans 8:28, it tells us, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So in the world, we may call such people going against us as haters, but I want to encourage you today to change that to destiny helpers, because we know that the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So Satan wants you to become stuck in the stuff. He wants you to stay stuck in the wrongdoings, the misfortunes, because when you're stuck in the stuff, it leads to the bitterness, it leads to disobedience, and you miss out on the new things that God is doing and that he wants to do in and through you, and what he ultimately wants to do in your life. For you not being able to let go, that could also be connected to your pride and your ego, another area where God may be wanting to develop you, to humble you. And at times we say, a lot of times it's the principle, not the problem. But sometimes it just hurts, point blank, period. As much as you may try to minimize it, it takes a humble spirit to be like, you know what, yes, that did hurt. We see in the Bible, Joseph go through his range of emotions after his brothers came during the famine. But today I declare and decree by the Spirit of the living God that is over your life, that today is the day you give it all to God, because it had to happen. When the Holy Spirit was speaking to me on this topic, it brought me to the story of Joseph. And I do encourage you to read the full story for yourself. But to give you a little bit of background, the story begins in Genesis 37 and finishes the book of Genesis to chapter 50. But again, background for those who aren't familiar, Joseph was a young man who was loved by his father Jacob, whose name was later changed to Israel. But Jacob had Joseph in his old age, and he loved Joseph so much that he specifically made a robe for him, a colorful coat. And so fast forward, Joseph has a dream where he would reign and rule over his brothers. And Joseph told his brothers about the dream, which made his brothers make them hate him even more. So they made a plot to kill him, to kill Joseph. But instead of killing him, they sold him to slavery, and Joseph ended up in Egypt, which was less than, of course, ideal circumstances and conditions compared to Joseph's dream. So although Joseph was in this prison, the favor and protection of the Lord was with Joseph, and later he was promoted to second in command. So fast forward, there is a famine in Canaan, which is where Joseph's family is, which leads him to where Joseph is in Egypt, where Joseph is now governing the land in Egypt. So the people that set Joseph up for unfavorable circumstances, to set Joseph up to fail, to throw him away, right, was key, his destiny helpers. Again, we're going to change that to get Joseph in position to where God wanted him to be. So while Joseph was going through everything opposite of what his dream was, Joseph could have been bitter. He could have given up. He could have accepted where he was. He could have not believed in the promises of God, and what was happening to him was his fate, and not stand on what God had already showed him and revealed to him in his dream. Excuse me. So the complete revelation of the story of Joseph is so profound, and actually one of my favorite Bible stories. So in Joseph's story, you see that he was mistreated. You see Joseph being mocked. You see Joseph being plotted against, thrown away, him being lied on. But as Romans 20 or 8:28 assures us, we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So we also see Joseph in this story being redeemed. We see Joseph being remembered. We see Joseph being faithful, forgiving. We see Joseph being restored and favored. So fast forward in Genesis 50, Jacob, the father, passes away. Now their brothers are afraid that Joseph will have his chance to get even with them, to be angry with them, to get his revenge, and to punish them for what they did to him. So another thing God will do when he separates you, the Lord will heal your heart. So when you have a chance to get revenge, to get even, you won't. But Joseph tells them it is God who has the authority to punish people, that his brothers decided to do bad things to him, but God caused a good thing to happen, right? Because of this situation, God's ultimate plan is fulfilled. So we see it had to happen for you to get to purpose. It had to happen for you to be that generational curse breaker. It had to happen for you to get to the next level. It had to happen for you to heal. It had to happen to save the people God has assigned to you in your destiny and your journey. So if Joseph's story didn't start how it did, God cannot bring him into the needed position to save the lives of many. It's not a feeling that they got to pass. That we easily can get sucked into because we want revenge now, right? And the way we want it done is letting go and letting God, submitting to his plan, submitting to his will, is moving forward. So it's a choice. First, it's a choice. Only you can make that choice. Holding on only keeps you captive. Holding on only stops and delays your blessings. So focus on the spiritual muscles you've gained and built from the betrayal, from your trials, your tests. It had to happen. And that can also be learning forgiveness. That can be operating in a fullness of pure heart and clean hands despite your enemy's attempts to take you out. That can be building your faith muscle, right? Your resilience on God to know that he sees everything. And also being honest with God with how you really feel, being honest with the part of letting go that you struggle with, so that the Lord can help you and reveal what he wants to reveal to you in the situation. So another big thing that's overlooked when it comes to letting go and letting God is rebuking the spirit of offense. Stop replaying the situation in your mind. Stop breathing life into it. What you starve is what will die. It happened. They did it. It's not minimizing what they did. It's setting yourself free and setting yourself up to receive all of what God has for you. Examining the situation in a new light and allowing the Lord to show you what he wants you to receive from the situation. The enemy wants the gift that will come out of that betrayal, that setback, that devastation. The word tells us your enemies will be your footstool under your feet, right? And there is victory over all obstacles and circumstances. Also remembering Jesus was hated first, right? Judas was someone who was all up and through the presence of Jesus, but betrayed him to his enemies. They thought Jesus was crazy and Jesus couldn't just be around anyone. So to share in his glory, we also have to share in his suffering, right? So I'm leaving you also with Philippians chapter 2, verse 16, which tells us to hold firmly to the word of life. Then on the day of Christ's return, I will be proud that I did not run the race in vain and that my work was not useless. So today, let it go and let God, remembering it had to happen, right? That nothing is wasted. So ending this topic, I pray that you have a beautiful and blessed day. Make sure to like, comment the video, share, subscribe to become part of the family. and allow yourself to help someone else to let go and let God today. And I'll catch you on the next talk topic. Bye.